Yo, yo, what's up, brother?
Switch this shit up. What's up? What's popping?
How's it going? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, man. It's a blessing to have you on today. I just want to say thank you for coming on krylonTalk and speaking to us for a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, no worries, man. I appreciate what you're doing and sort of letting us sort of get our words out there. You know what I mean?
Much love, bro. That's the goal, to let everybody know that, there's people out here living and breathing this. It's just not a game.
That's right.
I wanted to start today, if you could share a little bit about what year you started painting and what utensils were you using when you started writing.
Man, this shit is it's low key embarrassing, but almost exactly like 20 years ago, I
Okay.
was in middle school, and I don't know what gave me this idea, but I got like that notebook paper when you're in school.
Oh, yeah, the one with the lines?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to use Elmer's glue and fucking paste up like bullshit like slap stickers, with those like Magnum markers.
Hey, man, we got to start somewhere, man. We got to start somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So I started right there, and then I was in this little like skate crew. So we used to hit up our tags like just with spray can. I didn't really know what's up with graffiti or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of similar
But
how I used to get down back in the day, just skating, chilling with the homies, and man, one thing led to another.
yeah, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of similarity between the two. Because we're just out there in the city and just fucking exploring and and doing things in certain places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Can you share a little bit about what spray paint initiated your career with graffiti? Like, did you have a certain go-to when you started, or was it just hands-on on everything?
And it was the touch and tones.
Okay.
I didn't really know anything about racking like in the beginning. So we used to go to this little like neighborhood market. Me and the homie Mew. That was like one of my first like sort of roll dogs. You know what I mean? And that was the only place where we could afford it. Before we knew what's up with racking.
Dope. Um, how did you feel? I don't remember what year it was, but when they brought in like the more fancier can, did you adapt well to it? I believe it was a Montana.
Montana, man. Honestly,
I don't know if it was
I'd
Montana
say
or Belton.
I don't remember. I remember the Montanas coming around and those being sort of like those sort of being I don't know, high priced items. And at that time, I mean, when I was more active, like mid 2000s, I'd
Yeah.
say we racked everything. Like we didn't buy anything, and it wasn't about, it was like those Montanas would be for like a couple little details, or like a force field or a shine or something like that. But for the most parts, it was just Rusto, Krylon, you know, and just
Dope.
racking.
I feel you on that, brother, because when I started, I couldn't use Montana because it was out of my price range and it was hard to rack. It was that one thing that I always had behind the counter, like at a skate shop or a graffiti shop. So it was pretty tough for me to get my hands on it.
Plus, it's like the skate shops and the graffiti shops. It's usually just homies that are running it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
But the
more.
big, but the big sort of companies. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, man, it gets crazy. Um, uh, can you share a little bit about? I'm not sure. I was able to connect with your page. I seen a lot of Tijuana activity, but are you from LA, Los Angeles based?
I'm out of Long Beach, so LA area,
Okay.
and actually I moved down there to kick it with the homie down there, Scove, and I liked what was happening down there, and the people down there, the writers down there are super solid. So I stayed out there for a year, and
Okay.
aside from living there, I went back and forth, uh, more
Dope.
often than now, just time wise. But
Yeah.
Tijuana, man, that scene, there's something real dope about it, man.
Dope, man. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned it being from Long Beach. I'm not that far from you. Can you share a little bit about the Long Beach graffiti scene and what it means to you? And if you could share a little bit to the people out there that are tapping in that have no idea what's going on here in Long Beach Graff.
Man, I think that Long Beach, well, I don't know if Long Beach gets slept on, but you look at all the music that's coming out, all the culture, all the artists that are coming out of Long Beach, it's unmistakable. There's some kind of magic happening right there. Not that other places, don't have that going on as well. But growing up in Long Beach, there was a particular flavor, honestly, just with the people that I was around, the skaters, the graph riders, especially, cats that I've been knowing for a really long time. There's something special about that, something special about Long Beach. And, scene wise, honestly, like growing up, it's really local, right? When you don't have a car. So where I was at, it was like Dubber, Dooms, GBC. And that's what I saw. That's what I grew up seeing. And like I said, me and Mew, we went by different names back then. But, yeah, like me and Mew would go around, and one day we ran into the homie Dubber just on some train tracks, and we were just lurking. And it was dope to sort of like connect with somebody that, as a younger cat, I was really inspired by. That's what I really saw, and then being on the blue line, skating, going out to LA to go skate. I would see a lot of the stuff on the blue line.
Is there
Go ahead.
what was that? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, there was some car leaving right now. But going out to LA, like catching the blue line, I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of high school, so I would sort of just take off, like catch the blue line. Especially when I was riding, I started really getting serious into riding in ninth grade. So most of the time I was ditching, going to skate, seeing what was on the blue line. You see like Maz.
A lot of people don't know, man, but shit be going down in that blue line train.
Oh, man, that's entertainment on its own, and if you ride it enough, you start to sort of see the program. You start to see, I don't know, just people from all walks of life, man, and just what happens when everybody gets on a train together from wherever.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
lot of drama too.
Yeah, because I've been riding the blue line since I was a child, bro. So, man, that shit crazy in there sometimes.
Yeah. The blue line. It's kind of funny, man, that our trains aren't really painted out here.
Yeah, I always tripped about that because right here off the 710, they have like a station where all the metros are at. And I remember being as a kid trying to get my ass in there, but this shit was impossible.
I'm pretty sure everybody's like thought about that. Like, I'm pretty sure people have done it, man. But I would imagine that the way they have it locked down, they would never let that shit leave the.
That would be dope, though, huh? Did you see the Metro Blue Line, big old bombings and shit? Some New York type shit. That should be tight.
Yeah, a long time ago, I remember some dude from France. Like, because out in Europe, they fucking paint trains, man. They rock. They have a different system there, and so they're able to rock the trains. There's a lot of heat on it too. But I remember one dude from France being like, "Yeah, we're gonna go rock the blue line," and I remember everyone just looking at me like, "Good luck."
let them peace be with you.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you could say that influenced you coming up? Like someone that you probably been like, damn, that's just tight. I want to be like that.
I don't know if I would say that I would want to be. I mean, maybe when I was younger, it'd be like I would want to be like somebody. Honestly, it was I kind of read up on the history of Graff, and coming from New York, I was one of those youngsters that I watched Beat Street, you know what I mean, and I just got mad and I went out and I bombed Ramo, like, just on blast, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I feel you. I just finished reading the New York book on Don D.
Yeah, Dondi too, especially.
Yeah, I just finished reading that. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about those earlier roots, in New York, and then of course in LA we have our own early roots in Graff, with people like Chaz that really paved the way like early on. So it's interesting that there's like these two different histories being told at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's something to anybody that's tapping in that really wants to find out about the roots to check that out, man. They got books written out there that are really good ideas to read and shit.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where it's at. Honestly, is just sort of reading and getting different perspectives, like as much as possible. Because like as much as experience and what we see with our own eyes gives us, it's like you could in a way download the perspective of someone else, in a matter of a week. and sort of like level up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and sometimes, as harsh as it sounds, sometimes it's better to distance yourself from certain individuals because it's just not healthy.
I mean, I think in this life, it's really all about energy, you know. And
Ab-
if you're trying to do something that maybe seems uncomfortable, or not everybody's doing, that's when it really starts to count who you put around you and who's in your circle, you know. The energies, like, you feed off of energies all day, and if you don't have the right energy, you're not ever gonna reach, whatever your goal is.
Dope, brother. I know we mentioned Tijuana. Can you share a little bit about, just being out there, the experience in regards to graffiti? Like, how are the writers out there? Because you know how people like myself, when you're Mexican American and you end up somewhere in Mexico, you're just not Mexican enough. Or, they look at Americans different. Like, if you're from America, they look at you like, oh, you don't know nothing. Did that translate to graffiti out there or not really?
Not at all. That scene out there and the cats that are painting out there are like super humble and super down, man. And I don't know. I never got that vibe, and I'm not even Mexican. I'm part Filipino, and I was down there and I was on the outskirts, but I never got those vibes. Like, even with my neighbors, honestly, like, I don't, yeah, I didn't feel that from that. It was all love. Even when I left, I left a little bit. I left my house for a little bit down there, um, to go down to Oaxaca.
Okay.
And my neighbor, so the homie was like looking after my house, and my neighbor saw him go there, and she like scoped it out and was like looking out for me. Even when I was gone. And I didn't speak any Spanish when I first went there.
I feel you. How is the scene out there like with the writers? Do they have their own style type thing, or is it all just like similar? You know how like everybody in different parts of the world see graffiti a little different.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. That every place you go, and I've done not as much traveling as I would want to, but I've been out there to Europe. I've been around North America, through Mexico, and every place has its own flavor. There's something that there's something that you can't replicate. It's like it's where you come from. That I don't know. It taps in. It's just like the way. It's like what you see in the world filters through your mind, and you can't replicate that. If you're not there. So
Yeah,
Tijuana, man, they're ill down there. They have their own styles, and they catch dope ass spots. Um, and the graph scene is, yeah, man, that shit is active down there.
that's dope. I've been trying to get a hold of some guys over there, but they be thinking like I guess they don't think I know how to speak Spanish type thing. So I reach out in Spanish, and someone reached back to me. So hopefully we get one of them in here.
Honestly, like, some of my, not everybody, but I got a homie down there that he learned English around the same time that I was starting to learn Spanish down there. But when we first used to like link up, he like it was weird. Like, we would communicate, but our language would be different. But I never felt any bad vibes going down to Tijuana, like with the cats down there, or like any judgment. It was like, I don't know. And honestly, like, the first time I went down there was like 2006. Had a bad experience. I got locked up like 30 minutes after crossing in.
Oh
Got
shit!
caught. Got caught just being a fool. Like, we actually made it into Rosarito, me and a couple of homies, and I got rolled up pretty bad, just like 30 minutes in.
Oh
But then
shit!
we still kept eating and just not giving a damn, because you can just bail yourself out, or bribe yourself out.
Yeah, definitely.
But but yeah, we went on a little tear there, man, and it was really humbling when I was more down there like around 2006, 2007, and years later, the cats down there are super humble, man. Like, some of the best people I know are down there, and so you know I went dry a little bit, wasn't really painting, and the homie Scope got me back in, to painting, and going down there and like meeting cats that were like younger when I was down there. Uh, they were just like, "Oh man, we saw what you did. Like, that shit made an impact. Like, just going out there. Like, there's some people that were like, you inspired me to do what I'm doing, and like that's everything.
Yeah, man, that's definitely a great feeling. And knowing that, somebody out there enjoys what you do, because sometimes, we so caught up in stuff that you don't even notice.
Yeah, there's that, and I think that like one thing that's different now than back then is having IG and having the internet. But back then, before there was really, there was like 50 millimeter, there was bottom signs. But when you painted, you sort of just assumed that people were going to see it, like when they're out and about, and you didn't really, there was really no way to understand what kind of impact you would make.
Yeah, man, that's crazy because I remember 50 millimeter because when I was coming up, because I started back in '05 and coming up, I think that was like my first exposure to graffiti on the internet. I believe it was 50 mm, and you were able to catch anybody on there.
Yeah, yeah, everybody has their own aliases.
You had the chance to travel,
Drama,
brother.
like drama threads and shit,
you
grab
you
your popcorn.
that you that you had the chance to travel, brother. Is there anything out there that you experienced while painting graffiti that's probably something that stood out to you? Maybe somebody using a certain utensil to paint, or the way somebody was getting up.
I wouldn't know about it in like those aspects because I think, I mean, for the most part right now, it's like Montana, Belton, like that's all out there. People have access to tips. So I think like utensil wise, it's probably depends on what can get shipped where. But for the most part, people are gonna have fat tips, thin tips, details. Um, what stands out to me, honestly, was traveling is meeting people and getting different perspectives. And maybe in that regard, like going out to Amsterdam, I was out there probably for a week and, just enjoying that Amsterdam lifestyle. But I remember when I was leaving, I was a 50 and I was like trying to get spots and I was out there solo. Uh, but I remember just like blazing it, just by the train station trying to get to the airport. I was going through Europe, like I was trying to go. I went to a bunch of countries out there.
And that's
And
that's dope
I
that
ended
you
up
had the
blazing it.
experience to do
I ended up blazing it with a refugee, somebody that came to
that.
Amsterdam from Africa and came from a very different circumstance, than what I was used to. And it was interesting to see where our experiences were different, but also at the same time, what we had in common. Like trying to come up, really trying to make it. And it was that really stood out to me. And when I was out in Vienna, I painted with another refugee. Well, I didn't paint, but he was there. I was doing this roller, and my girl had backed me up, and we were doing this roller like hot daylight. Uh, and this Syrian refugee sort of came up, and he was like, it was just heavy shit that he was talking about. Like he was like, "Oh, where are you from?" That kind of thing. And that really opened my eyes. Not that I hadn't been aware, but when you meet people one on one, it has a different kind of impact.
Yeah, it's definitely different meeting somebody, one on one than just a phone call or just over the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to touch another subject, brother. In the graffiti world, well, I mean, there's been two terms that's been used for quite some time now, and I wanted to see if you could give me your take on those two terms. One of them being toy, and the other one being capping.
Capping and toy.
Yes.
Toy. I mean, everybody starts off as a toy. You know, I was a toy. For a long time. I think there's just some point where all the elements start to click in and you start to understand what you're doing. But I remember being a toy and you get that ridicule and you get hazed in a way, right? Like people aren't really going to respect you off the bat, but at the same time, that's a good mirror of just life, man. People ain't going to respect you, like just because you came out there. You know what I mean? So I think toy, it's I don't really like when I'm driving around or if I see Graff, I don't think like toy or anything like that. I mean, I just think, you know, up and comer, new cat, like in my head. But
Yeah.
is like, in terms of like skill level, but then there's like toy behaviors. You
I
know,
feel you
people
on
that
that one.
don't know how to respect, you know, the rules of graph, you know. And you know, I know a lot of people touch up on this, but you if you don't think you can burn it, then don't cap it. If it's a piece and you put a throwy on it, I mean that's just toy, you know. And in terms of like capping, I mean, back in the day, so I have two different modes, right? So back in
Oh,
the day, I never let anybody cap me or go over me, no matter who it was. And there's people that I respect that I've gone over because on principle I don't like people going over me.
okay.
Right now, like I think with this perspective, I know that it's all gonna disappear anyways. So I'm not as worried about getting capped. I mean, if I'm painting illegal and I put a lot of time in it, and these days I buy my paint, so I try to make something that's not going to be capped. Thankfully, I mean, I'm pretty fortunate. I haven't had to deal with that a lot, and there's you know a couple people here and there scribbling, doing doodads, throwing doodads on my letters, or you know, but it is what it is. This is part of what's going on these days.
Yeah, because I seen a situation where somebody goes over someone that passed away, or did they just go over the wrong person, and it escalates to some type of beef that can last over years. How do you feel about when it comes to beef? How do you feel it should get situated?
Just in general, I don't I don't really concern myself with like what someone else thinks about me, or you know, I don't really worry too much about what other people are thinking. But you know, I mean, to each their own. You know, the way that we grew up, it was a different game, and you know, we used to, even though we weren't in the heart of like tag banging or anything like that, there was still a little bit of that shit like lingering on, and like expectations, and you know, I've been in my own beefs, but what's really crazy about it is some of the people that we had the hardest beef with, you know, and I won't even mention names because that shit is just gone already. This shit's just old. But some of the people that we beefed it with in the past, like they're homies, like they're cool as fuck with them now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And so I don't really pay it too much mind. And I also don't want to. I think there's another thing too, is where some people let people get in their heads, or, you know. But I look at it like this: nobody's gonna dictate what I'm doing. Nobody's gonna force my hand or get me to wasting time.
so you broke up for a
Beef is
couple of seconds. Can
reality.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
It's reality, you know. At the same time, I mean, graffiti isn't for people that are soft. You know, I'll say that, but I think you'll take your lumps. You know, pretty much any writer's going to take their lumps coming up, and they're going to learn how to respect other people. You know, because even the most badass dude, you know, that's you know in the neighborhood that get down whatever, they can lose too. Everybody can lose. You know, everybody can get humbled, and I just don't think it's worth the time though to think about it. You know, and I'm part of, you know, I'm part of three crews, and we've all had like our beefs in the past. You know,
Like
um,
in between you guys, or like with other people?
no, not in between us. I mean, I won't even, you know, in general, just like friends in general, you're gonna have like little beefs here and there, right?
How
But
do you feel in situations when you run into like tag bangers? Because I feel like that topic's interesting because you get a lot of individuals, I think, misunderstanding what graffiti stands for and what it's about.
right. Well, I think part of it, I mean, you know, coming from the LA area, there's a different culture that is sort of superimposed over what we're doing, and so a lot of that, some of that's going to rub off here and there, you know, and it's different elsewhere. But you know, I thought it was peaceful in the rest of the world. I was out in Berlin, and I was trying to paint the trains out there, and I talked to somebody who had been fucked up, man, painting somebody's line, and he was like, they broke his fingers, you know what I
Oh
mean, like
shit!
beef. I mean, that happens everywhere, but I think that it's more of a product of like when you're younger and like more hot-headed and more impulsive, or more trying to prove your point and this and that. But and I'm not even old, don't get me wrong. I'm not old as fuck or anything like that. But as you get older, you start to realize that shit just doesn't matter. It just falls off into the trail of like history, and nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares what happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, blowing in the wind.
Yeah, it just sucks that sometimes you got that one knucklehead that be like, "Hey, you remember back in the sixth grade? Yeah, you took my apple. What's up?"
Oh, man. I can't even remember people from high school beyond, who I already knew. And like people that are in my crew, like I knew them back then, So we
Yeah.
grew up together. So there's no like high school reunion. Like we knew each other. And like I said, there's people I had serious beef with some people back in '06, like I said, and we're cool now. We painted, it's all good. But back then, I felt like, for example, I had to have a gun on me, and I had to
Okay.
be stalking out my spots, and it was like life or death to me, And then I got locked up, and that should put stuff into perspective, man. Once you talk to people that have like killed somebody or done something like that, it's nothing to be, unless somebody's a sociopath, it's really nothing that impacts them in a good way.
Man, definitely. Thank you for sharing that because I just feel like sometimes people need to hear that because it could get crazy real quick.
People just need to chill out, and I'm not gonna like point anybody out or but I know people that are like that. But at the same time, I was like that when I was younger. Now that I know better, I can't pretend that that's the way. You know what I mean? I can say as much as I want, but I'm not trying to be a preacher.
Though
Um,
I
but
had a chance also to actually see your paintings like eye to eye and stuff like that. And can you share a little bit where the peacock idea came from?
well, you have to go to the homies for that. That was NBC in the beginning, and I remember that our original logo was based off of Channel 4 NBC LA.
Yeah, I've had a chance to see the peacock. They're dope. I just asking if there was something behind it, like a meaning or whatnot.
I think everybody in the crew has their own sort of meaning that gets around it. I think that's what makes it a powerful symbol and something that's, not that it's the glue that keeps everybody together or anything like that. But I think we all have, like when we look at it with our own eyes or we're creating it, I think it has a meaning to us, individually. And something about the energy of what we're doing, uh, yeah, I mean, beyond that, I can't speak for what everyone else, you
Yeah, I
know what
feel
I
you.
mean?
I feel you on
Everyone
that one.
looks at it, but man, it's important. Like it's something we've been doing for a long time, and it tells a story in a way because when we started doing the logos, that was around the time that logos were starting to happen, and like other people had logos. UPN Crew had a logo. Love Crew has their own logo right now. So like just having that emblem. There's a part in history in that alone.
Dope, man. That's definitely something new to my ear about the logo because I've seen them, and I've acknowledged them, but I just didn't know the actual meaning behind them.
Right. Yeah, there's I don't know. I think it's like graffiti. It's hard to explain why we do what we do or what it is, but it's there. It's like magic.
Another subject I wanted to touch, brother. If you could share a little bit about when I was a kid growing up, I used to see you and Tank rock the overpasses on the freeways. Can you share a little bit about the feeling of being up there and painting?
There's nothing like that. I really wish so. Honestly, when I was painting back then, it was about putting myself in dicey situations and like running across the freeways, spending a couple hours in the middle, or painting the bridges. I went on a little run where I was painting bridges. I do remember the first time I hit it. That's when you learn how to relax. So I've spent, I could feel comfortable up on heights, things like that, But you can feel like when you're up there, you can feel big rigs going underneath you, all the cars. Like you get really tuned into the environment of what's around you, because you're just up there and hopefully nobody could see you. But you're just up there, and you got to stay calm, because if you burn out your arms, right, you're tense, you're worried, you're gonna burn out your arms, and you're gonna get tired. But if you're just completely calm, if you look at it like you're just on the sidewalk, like, are you gonna fall if you're just on the sidewalk, like bouncing on the sidewalk? You're not gonna fall, so there's no reason for you to fall when you're up there. Um, but it was, man, it's a lot of fun hitting. Like I said, I wish, honestly, if I could go back and do it again, I probably would have been a little bit calmer, because it was just on the daily for me and the cats I was still rolling with now, but rolling with back then. We were just trying to up each other. We were trying to do crazier and crazier shit, hotter and hotter spots. Didn't care about getting chased. I mean, getting chased by cops was just regular life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So you
figured
just
that.
get into a groove. And but those are a lot of fun, you know. And I still now I channel it in different ways, you know, when I work with people and things like that. But high pressure situations are a lot of fun in general.
It's just the adrenaline that just beating up there and shit. Like fuck, because I've been up on some, but I haven't been like in the very very middle. You know, like I'll go
Yeah.
off a little bit, but I remember seeing yours right in the very middle, nice and you could see it perfect. I used to be like, dang, that's a good spot.
Which one, the one on the 710?
Yeah, I seen all of them with Tank and Evak right there on
Yeah,
the 710 where the blue line goes through.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah, I was up there. That was a solo mission.
Oh shit, by yourself?
Yeah. I went. I think it was like a real foggy night, and I was like, man, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna go up there, and I'm glad that one rocked for a while. But I ran into some. I ran into they weren't yet this, but I remember I ran into the homies from like HOF, right?
Oh,
Like, they were doing a roller. They were doing a what was it? They were doing a, I think they were doing a B4U RGK, or I want to say something like that. It was a long time ago. But I remember it was like foggy, and I was just up there. I decided to paint it twice, like to do 2 layers so that it wouldn't fade away like over time. So I was up there for a couple hours,
oh shit.
uh, taking my time.
Yeah, man, I heard a story one time about I don't know if it's true, but if it is, rest in peace to a cat that fell off that bridge right there. I don't know if it was.
Where?
I believe it's. I mean, I don't want to lie. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard of some cat from Long Beach that fell off that bridge. I don't know if it's true though.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know. I mean, I've known of some people that have died, but not off that bridge in particular.
Though, I also seen that you've been sharing your talent with students. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's another sort of like passion. Like, I don't just do graph. I try to keep my foot in a lot of doors, like whatever is meaningful to me at the time. And for a long time now, I'd say, you know, maybe 4 years, I've been working with students, you know, not like on an everyday basis, but my career is working with students
Okay.
in college. You know, my career for now, right? It's working with students in college, and, you know, teaching classes like that. And so working with those kids was an extension of that. It was, you know, on a daily basis, I try to put myself in situations that are uncomfortable. And for me, working with kids is super uncomfortable. Like, because you don't know, you know, kids are unruly. When I think of myself as a kid, I mean, I was, hold on, there's a truck going by. I mean, I was one of the worst kids out there. I used to bring like fireworks to school and fucking throw them at people. I used to beam through the teachers, you know. Uh, I didn't, yeah. So I wasn't ready. I wasn't knowing, you know, and especially with the newer generation, their their experience in life is a lot different than what we had like growing up. So I didn't know if I would relate to them or whatnot, but really, it's just the idea of like letting people know, letting, you know, people that are kids, people that are, you know, young adults, like just starting in college, that giving them that agency, because that's what graffiti is. It's like, you don't need permission, you don't need to go through the institution, or you just go out there. And so I wanted them to have a little bit of that feeling. So, you know, they would ask me, you know, on that photo that's on IG, the kids there were middle school, and they'd ask me what to do, and I was just like, just fill in the lines and do whatever you feel like, whatever looks good to you. Just do it. Don't worry about it. And
It's the imagination that counts, being creative and just letting your mind flow.
exactly. Yeah, not worrying too much because even people that I don't know, there's styles out now that are super dope styles. Shit's getting pushed really hard, and I would say that back then it might not have been looked at as good. Like shit changes with the times, and what people are expecting out of style changes with the times.
Man, you're definitely true about that. I feel like it's with anything, like even music. Like back in the early 2000s, we had a certain type of swag type thing, and now it's a whole different ball game. Like I remember back in the days, they used to clown on the homies because they used to have tight pants with skating shoes and shit,
Yeah.
And now it's like it's a thing, so it's just crazy.
Oh man, it's funny how the tables turn. I used to be a skater, and even skateboarding. At least at the high school I was at, it wasn't a thing. At least it wasn't a good thing. And I used to skate around like through the hallways, and man, you get into shit, just from being a skater back then.
Hell
Um,
yeah. There's a
but
question. There's
it changes with the times.
hell yeah. That's definitely. I mean, a big part of I think growing up. I mean, especially to somebody like me, like skating was a way to get around. Like I was in a hardcore kickflip off stairs type dude, but I would skate.
Yeah. I was kind of the same. I never really got good at it. I mean, I could do, the biggest shit I could do was just like maybe, I don't know, 180 or 9 stair or something like that. Nothing too, you know what I mean? But meanwhile, people are like kick flipping and doing like crazy ass shit, and I never had the coordination to do that. But again, it's not even about that, for everybody.
There's a question that I like asking everybody. It's my personal question to everybody that happens to krylonTalk. You have a favorite sneaker or tennis shoe you like to rock while you're out there painting or you're just working on piece or something?
Honestly, I don't. I'm one of those cats that will just go to Marshalls or and whatever's there. If it happens to be good, then I'll get it, and then that'll be my good shoe for a little bit. And then once it's had its wear and tear, then it just becomes the painting shoe. And I got a
Bro,
few of those inside, but it could be anything. I try to stay away from worrying too much about like that kind. I don't really catch on a lot like with like style or fashion.
yeah, man. Like a lot of people don't seem to understand. If you're out there painting, you don't want to have no brand new pair of shoes and be at the barnyard thinking you're about to drop a piece and not get them dirty.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna go out there and you're gonna go painting, it's never gonna be easy. So you're gonna run into some shit, and it could be literally you could step in some shit. I'm gonna take a shit on the side of the building.
Man, I'm
Uh,
telling you, the bums out there
I've
in
had
the
to leave some
canal be
shoes behind,
crazy.
man.
What was that?
I said I've had to leave shoes behind. When we're going to go home barefoot.
Like, fuck that. Y'all can keep the shoes.
I was doing a roller, man, and it's like when you're painting a bigger spot, sometimes you're gonna feel real good. But I remember like touching something up at the end of one of these spots that I was catching, and I just stepped in a fucking mound of shit. And it's
Oh,
like
fuck.
I just took them off and just gave up and just walked home.
Oh, shit. That's crazy. Thanks for sharing that, brother. Um,
Yeah.
what do is there anything you could say to the graffiti people now? I mean, sorry about the, not the people, but the generation or anybody that feels like they want to start painting graffiti in this era? Is there anything you could say to them?
Get ready, buck yourself up, man. Like the ride is unpredictable. It's just like life. Like you don't know what this day is gonna lead to next, right? But uh, it's unpredictable, and I would say think about longevity. That's what really counts in the end. And even that, man, it's debatable, right? Like everything we're doing right now, all we're painting. And I'm not as active, to be fair. Like, there's a lot of people out there killing it right now. A lot of homies from the crews that are killing it. Um, but in the end of the day, perspective-wise, 1,000 years from now, nobody's gonna remember none of this shit. And so we're doing it for now, and we're doing it for our own like collective memories. But I would say just don't take it too seriously. You know, I see a lot of people that are really uptight and really trying to put an image out there, you know, and I'd say just be yourself. You know, that's the thing that people are going to respect you for in the long run, is just being exactly how you are, and don't try to put on a show. Just do what you do. You know, if you want to be active, go do that. If you want a piece, I would say, if you want a piece and do legals, you better put in the work in the streets first and cut your teeth, because it doesn't mean anything. You know, like it doesn't mean anything if you haven't really been out there and done your dirt. It doesn't really have any weight to it.
I feel you on that, and that's something that a lot of people have been debating on that aspect. But I mean, it is what it is, you know.
I mean, I don't even think it's a debate. I think it's you know, one group of people that think one way, or not one group of people, but there's people that think one way and there's people that think another. But like I said in the beginning, it's like if you're worrying too much about, if you know, I look at it this way, right? Like there's people that bomb it up and they have something to say about people piecing on a wall. But in the end of the day, there is no rules to this shit as far as that goes. So the way I look at it is, one person is trying to impose their way of thinking on somebody else, and that's just a bunch of bullshit. You know, like people want to say it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Like personally for me, like I'll do it all. Like I get my kicks out of doing just straight up blockbuster letters, and then I get my kicks out of like throwing myself into a piece and not knowing what I'm going to do and trying to figure it out, you know, when it's happening. But for someone to place a hierarchy, like I said, it all goes back to, did you put in work in the beginning? Did you come up putting in work, or did you not do that?
I feel like that conversation also comes up because, you know, there's certain guys that been doing this work for a minute, you know, like getting up and or whatnot, and then you have the guy that, you know, just grabs a can and starts doing legal work, and they look at him different because, you know, this individual, you know, lived through a whole life to get to where he's at, whether to this guy just popped out of nowhere, you know.
That's kind of that's what's dope about Graff though, in a way, because people do come up and just pop up out of nowhere and they just start flexing and they like make themselves known, and that's, you got all the power to do that, right? You can go out there and do it where it counts. But yeah, I mean, I as somebody who's been painting a little bit longer, but not as long as like other people out there that have been out there since the beginning, you know, I would say that with each generation comes a different sort of approach or a different flavor. I was tempted, you know, to be honest, I was tempted at certain points to be like, oh, what's going on is wrong or right. But I just look at it like, I don't want to be that older dude that's like looking at the new music style or this and that and like passing judgment, because that happened to us early on. So I think that there's lessons and things to be formed, but at the very minimal, they should be aware of the rules of Graff, the sort of hierarchy between tags and pieces that's been around for 40 plus years now. You know, that's something that's sort of keeps it, that's something that sort of keeps it organized in a way that makes sense.
And your personal opinion, brother, where do you see graffiti 2 generations or 3 generations from today?
Man, I can't even imagine, because this shit is way different already now. You know, like with Instagram and being able to, you know, post up your pieces, whereas before it was like people had to stumble across it when they were going out and about on their daily life. So shit, in the future, with the way things are going right now, this shit's either gonna exist, like just society in general, or it's not. And graffiti is going to be a sort of reflection of what's happening. So, you know, who's to say what it's gonna be? But I know that people right now are pushing it really hard and doing some crazy experimental shit, you know, and just really stretching the game out. So that's super exciting to see.
Yeah, and also like I try to shed some light on you know, just anybody in general that taps in and watches the podcast, that, you know, even though if you just woke up today and next week you blow up, like, you know, it's okay to acknowledge that there's people here way before you and just listen to what they have to say because it might save you in a way or it give you some type of knowledge.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. Is just not in just graffiti, but in general is like I. Well, let me say one thing first. I don't think that just because you're older, you're gonna have more knowledge or more wisdom, right, to give. There's a lot of people that haven't really grown, in all their age, and then there's people that you meet that have grown as people, and so getting their perspective is probably the most valuable thing you can get. Like, and I chopped it up with a lot of people, especially when I used to catch the bus a lot. Like, I would always chop it up with whoever was there, and so just from the people that are around you and the people that you run across and you get to meet and know people, you can get like a little bit more perspective in general, and that's always going to be helpful pushing forward.
Yeah, definitely. Just stay, you gotta stay a positive mind because you might be a cool guy, but then the next guy's an asshole.
Yeah, yeah, and also like I mean, the longer, and I've only been in painting for 20 years, and like I said, compared to people that have been putting in work for a longer time than that, they've seen people come and go. And, over the long run, you see who comes and goes and you see who's still around. There might be somebody that gets super active and gets a lot of attention on like Instagram or something, that's up and coming. But where are they going to be 10 years from now or 20 years from now? They're going to be pushing themselves and still going to be painting.
I feel you on that, brother. Before I let you go, can you share a story or anything that comes to mind being out there painting something like a memory?
I always remember the chases.
Yeah.
I had some pretty dicey ones. I'll share a chase story because I always like to share that shit, just when I'm kicking it with people and whatnot, because it's fucking hilarious. I was painting. I had just gotten out of jail for like the last time, and I was on a 5-year joint suspension. So like anything I get caught, I'm gonna do 5 years in prison. So I still was painting like I was still painting like illegally and actively that name in those days, right? Because my name is burned out. So, anyways, I was already burned out. They got fingerprints. They caught. I used to put up a lot of slap stickers,
Okay.
and they caught me by fingerprints. And so there was really no denying or making up a story or anything. Like it was what it was. But anyways, you flash forward, and like I said, I'm fresh out of jail. And we're painting a freeway spot. I think it was off the 10 or something like that. It was like in something Heights, like maybe heading out east a little bit. We're just painting some innocent shit, just like sound walls on the freeway, having a good old time. And then we go hit the middles, do all that. And we're just like packed up and ready to go. And Highway Patrol comes up. And so like, the chase is on. And there was like three homies back then. I don't want to like put too much game on like who was who.
Yeah.
But we got chased. And I was going behind the homie. And I remember like he jumped over this fence, and like in the process of him jumping over, he like drop kicked me in my chest, and like I fell down, and the cop was like the CHP or whatever was catching up. So I jumped over the wall, but on the other side was a 2-story drop, and I ended up landing in some tree and just fucking eating shit and like really hurting myself, getting down, and then cop CHP started catching up. When they have the I don't know how to do it, but they have the flashlight and the gun, and they're
Oh yeah. Hey, freeze!
And my ankle was giving out, and I was about to give up, but I was like, "Fuck that! Like, I'm not going to prison for 5 years." So I fucking ran, and I jumped into somebody's backyard, and I, out of nowhere, one of the homies ended up having jumped in that backyard too. We could hear the helicopter coming. We already knew what time it was. Like, there's no getting away from the helicopter.
Yeah.
So we're in this backyard, like, what do we do? And there's one option was to pretend that we were just swimming in the pool at like 3 a.m. and just keep it cool, like nothing was happening. And then I don't know what clicked into my mind, and I don't know what it was to this day. I don't know what it was, but we saw one of those big barbecue grills right there. So we fucking buried ourselves underneath it. There was dirt under there. Fucking dug a hole real quick and buried ourselves underneath it. Because you know how like at nighttime they can see the heat.
Yeah.
So we thought, like, oh, if they see the heat right there, they're just gonna think it was a barbecue grill. So we were down there, and we stayed down there. I mean, that, and I got endless chase stories. You know, I got some pretty gnarly stories, but um, yeah, I mean, the helicopter circled above. They shined the light on the grill. You could hear the cops just fucking circling around, and you're just thinking, like, man. And we stayed there for like 2 hours, just not moving, because they kept circling. Because it turns out one of the other homies had done something else, like after that drew more attention. You know.
Oh, okay.
So, man, sketchy ass. Down in Tijuana too, man. Like, you know, you can bail yourself out, but you can also get caught out there. And man, yeah. All right, I'll share. I like to talk, man. So, I'll share one more story down in Tijuana, like another gnarly story. We're just painting and we're drunk, and I'm with a couple homies down there, and we're just having a good old time. And we had a lookout with us, and we're painting these rollers on the side of the freeway, like lit up and everything, just not giving a fuck. We're already kind of drunk. But, you know, cops come up, and normally, you know, we handle it differently, but this time we ran. And keep in mind, like, there was a 5-gallon, you know, of like black paint, and I was like twisted, so I stepped in that shit, man, before we got chased. So something was already wrong with my shoe. Anyways, I go running, and I jumped off of something. It was like pitch black. I jumped off, and I lost my shoe. Then I started running through cactus.
Ooh.
And anyways, I got caught on the side of a hill right there, and I had to be like on a steep hill. You know, I had to hold onto a branch and bury myself in a bush. Had little bugs like biting on me and shit. And the lookout got caught. And I heard him just getting beat the fuck down, and he got put in the hospital. And I was just in the fucking bushes, like right there, like right next to him. And they even threw a big ass rock where I was, you know. But you know, that one, to finish that one, you know, it's like 5 a.m. in TJ, and like deep in TJ, not in like the touristy type of shit, like the outskirts. So I was like, man, what do I do? Like, I'm burnt out, like, and they already fucked this dude up, so what am I gonna do? So I was like barefoot, you know, and I was like, all right, what I'm gonna do is pretend to be one of those crazy ass runners that runs like early morning barefoot. You know, just started jogging on the freeway, man, and just played it off. Ended up finding a taxi cab and finding my way back to the border.
Boy, that's just crazy, man. Hey, man, I just want to thank you for sharing those stories, man. Those are priceless.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could go for days. Those are two that really stand out that I always think, like, in hindsight, are super fucking hilarious. But I appreciate what you do. You know, I know that you're kicking off this sort of interview series, man, and that's what it's about, just kicking shit off and fucking making it happen. And so it's dope.
Yeah, man. Again, brother, I personally want to give you a huge thank you to Graffiti, because I really did look up to you as a child, and I also want to give you a thank you for coming on to krylonTalk.
And man, I appreciate that, and like I said, you know, when I was the most active out there, I didn't realize how much impact I had, and now that, you know, people like you and other writers were just like, yeah, fucking growing up, you know, the homie Tank, fucking Mew, Punch, like all of that, man, I could fucking name everybody, but like,
Yeah, you guys, I used to guys see you guys all the time. It was always you, Tank, Evak, Punch, Muir. Like, I used to see all you growing up, because I used to kick it right here at a yard that's right off the 710 by that freeway. If you keep walking the track down, there's a yard down there.
Which one?
There's a yard right there. I don't know what they call it, bro.
Don't burn off the spot, but like around.
You know that overpass that we were talking about?
Yeah.
You know how you keep walking that track, and you go into a bridge, and then you come out that bridge, not going towards the canal, but the opposite side.
Yeah. Going more towards the middle.
Yeah, there's a yard down there. It's like a big wall. It's a lakeshore wall.
Fuck, man. I'm trying to like think. Oh yeah. It's like to the right hand side.
Yeah.
Like a huge wall.
Yeah, I grew up painting right there and shit, and I always used to see you guys and shit, and I used to be like, damn, these guys are tight. I'm gonna be like that one day type shit.
I appreciate that. Much respect. And yeah, I grew up right there too. I grew up right there. I was in that area, man, coming up.
Yeah, man, and I look forward to meeting you once we're done with this COVID-19 nonsense. You know, we're not that far from each other. I'm right here too,
Oh
and
man, I'm out of town. I'm not in the area anymore. I've been floating around.
oh,
Um,
well,
but
you
either
know,
way, I'm around.
when I get the chance to meet you, brother, I hope I get that chance and chop it up and stuff.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, I love doing that, man. Just sharing stories and at least my own experience. I know I don't speak for everybody, but I got my perspective and I like to learn from other people. But I also like it when where I thrive off of like people that are just putting themselves out there and just going for it, and that's what you're doing. So I think that shit is dope as hell.
Hell yeah. Well, again, brother, this shit only gives me up to like I think 58 minutes or some shit. So
No
before
worries.
before it cuts off, again, brother, thank you very much for coming out to krylonTalk, and look forward to meeting you after this COVID-19.
Yeah, man. Same. Shout out to my homies, that are doing it. Vandals Den down in San Diego, Flat Black out in Palm Desert area, and
Flat Black's
everybody
a graph shop, right?
Yeah. Those are, I mean, the homies that are doing it right now. Like I said, I could rifle off like a bunch of names, but I got homies that are doing it right now that just fucking they inspire the shit out of me. So
Can we are you gonna do any more commission speeches in the future?
yeah, man. As a matter of fact, I've been working at this for a long time, and like I said, just getting inspired by the homies. So yeah, I got a big ass project that's coming up that I don't want to give too much away of it, but when it happens, that shit is gonna make noise. It's a serious project. And
Hell
I've
yeah,
been
but
working with that for a long time. So, you know,
if it's not far from out here, man, I'm down to pull up and just say what's up.
yeah, man, I say yeah, for sure. And we're gonna be doing some stuff up in LA, down in San Diego. We're gonna try to make something happen, man. So just for everybody, just we got something cooking.
Hell yeah, brother. Much love. I'm about to get on out of here because I don't want the shit to cut off. But again,
Yeah,
brother,
man.
thank you.
Stay up.
Stay up, brother.